vision a living reality, inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. No official report.
Maybe not.
Honourable members, we shall skip item 2. We don't have any message from the presidency. Neither do you have any formal communication from the speaker. Let us therefore turn to item 5. Item 5. Correction of votes and proceedings, and that of official report. Today we have only votes and proceedings, so we will start from page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page number 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page number 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page number 17. Page 18. And yes, Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, if you may indulge me, take you to 13, the attendance. I realize my name is conspicuously missing, but I was present. The table office would take cognizance. I was present.
Yes. Table office, kindly take note of that. Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Speaker, on page 13, spilling over to page 14, attendance. At that time, I attended upon the proceedings of the committee as a friend.
Can you speak up a bit?
Mr. Speaker, on the 22nd day of January 2025, I participated in the proceedings of the committee as a friend. but my name has not been captured among those in attendance.
As a friend.
As a friend. If table office.
Which committee is that?
The Appointments Committee, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Well. So page 18. And finally, page 19. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 28th January 2025, is hereby adopted as the true records of proceedings. Honorable members, as I indicated yesterday, per our new standing orders, we have decided to give a day to the backbenchers. And that day specifically has been made to last Wednesday of the month. So today, we are going to give a lot of opportunities to our newcomers to have a feel of the chamber. So, honorable members, especially the newcomers, feel free and make your contributions as much as you can. We learn from nowhere, and I hope if you start tomorrow, you'll be masters like the minority chief whip and the majority chief whip. So feel free. We are going to be with you. So we are going to start from statements. And yes, my minority chief whip.
Speaker, I couldn't agree more with you. But before then, Speaker, if you may indulge me, there are very important matters, and my colleague, the whip, knows. We have our new MPs and even continuing MPs who have some important concerns. The last time we had committee of the whole, and I recognize at that time he hadn't taken office yet. So we were taxed, the finance minister related to us, tasked to undertake some errands in this respect. A lot of work had gone on. We need to apprise members, and these matters, as Speaker has duly cancelled, that these matters should not be discussed at plenary. I want to appeal to my whip. These matters come clearly under his purview, and we also have a role to play. If he can facilitate committee, if he could help facilitate committee of the whole, maybe from tomorrow, then we can brief members, colleagues properly, and also be apprised. We could even invite the finance minister to be here, because Speaker, all is not well with colleagues, and these matters must be dealt with before they get out of hand. So, Honorable Whip, welcome to the office.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Speaker, indeed, in addition to the matters that my brother alluded to, we have also engaged on some other pertinent issues, in fact, including the completion of the formation of the committee so that the committees can set out to work. So he's aware that we are doing some work in that regard. I agree with his proposal. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow, the Appointments Committee appears to have a heavy day, and we both are members. We are statutory members. So let me suggest that we hold a committee of the whole on Friday. After business statement is taken, we do that before we proceed to conduct business for Friday. Then we'll see how the succeeding week will look like. So I agree with him. I agree with him. But let's do that on Friday.
Yes.
Speaker, the new whip is showing signs of promise. And I pray he keeps to his promise. Friday looks like a workable day, except to add that colleagues are also concerned about the composition of committees. And these are matters that really comes under our purview. I admit we have some informal engagement. If we may, let's try so that this Friday, if we can have the first meeting of committee of selection to look at the draft at least, so that, experience has shown that more often than not, the first meeting of the committee of selection is unable to conclude. So if we have our first meeting on Friday, then we can have the spillover carried over to the next week. Then hopefully Thursday, at least next week, Wednesday, we should be taking the motion to pass the new committee so that colleagues will know where they belong and also to facilitate the business of the House.
Speaker, I'm on all fours in terms of my day. Indeed, also of concern to members is the formation of friendship associations. So all these matters, I believe on Friday, we'll do some work in that regard, and then we'll see how it goes. So, Speaker, pursuant to your convenience, we'll slate Friday for the committee of them to deal with this.
Very well.
I thank you.
So I think all of you should take a judicial notice of it. Friday, after business statement, we will constitute ourselves into committee of the whole to discuss matters relating to ourselves. Very well. So, honorable members, as I said, we will turn to item 6. Item 6 in today's order paper statements. And I believe our first timers are ready for today. I can feel it. So we start the first statement from Professor Titus Kofi Bayo, a member of Parliament for Lambusi, who is going to make a statement on hospital medical emergency care in public places in Ghana. And I think it's very, 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 very timely with regards to what we witnessed here on the last State of the Nation address. Yes, Professor Bayo, you have the floor now.
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity to make a statement that trauma deaths are disproportionately high in low and middle income countries, including Ghana. The World Health Organization African region reports that in 2022 alone, more than 37,000 individuals were referred for treatment by the National Ambulance Service of Ghana, with approximately 4,000 unable to access hospital care due to lack of ambulances or bed space. Moreover, Ghana's growing burden on non-communicable diseases, constituting 42% of the national disease burden, contributes directly to pre-hospital emergencies through conditions such as strokes and heart attacks. Medical emergencies such as trauma, sudden loss of consciousness, as was witnessed in the chamber here, choking, hemorrhage, and respiratory distress frequently occur in public places, including homes, workplaces, schools, places of worship, gymnasiums, the parliamentary chamber, the precinct of the ministries, departments, and agencies, and recreational areas. Unfortunately, many lives have been lost in these settings due to lack of timely and appropriate care. This highlights the urgent need for improved pre-hospital emergency care systems. Medical evidence supports the assertion that timely and appropriate care can prevent deaths and minimize morbidities associated with these pre-hospital medical emergencies. Pre-hospital emergency care may be provided by first responders and or trained emergency medical technicians. So what is the current state of medical emergency care in Ghana? Let's look at the legislative framework. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's legislative framework for medical emergency care does not adequately address current medical recommendations. For instance, the Factories, Offices and Shops Act of 1970, Act 328, mandates only the presence of a first aid box and a designated first aider in such places. Similarly, neither the Public Health Act of 2012, Act 851, the National Ambulance Act of 2020, Act 1041, nor the Road Traffic Regulations 2012, LI 2180, sufficiently addresses pre-hospital emergency care in keeping with current global best practices that emphasize basic life support and the use of automated external defibrillators in public places where necessary. Our National Ambulance Service. The National Ambulance Service Act was established by Act 1041 in 2020 as the primary agency for pre-hospital emergency care in Ghana. While the service has made significant strides in training emergency medical technicians and deploying ambulances, some challenges persist with the service, such as inadequate resources. The National Ambulance Service operates with limited ambulances, many of which are not optimally distributed across the country. In 2022, Ghana had only 307 functioning ambulances, with a population of approximately 33.1 million, with an EMT to population ratio of approximately 1 emergency medical technician to 98,000 people. This is far below the WHO recommendation of 1 EMT technician to about 25,000 people in low to middle income countries, and then the 1 ambulance per 50,000 people. There is also lack of regulation. The Regulatory Council of the Ambulance Service, envisaged by the Health Institutions and Facilities Act of 2011, Act 829, Part 3, which is supposed to set up the Ambulance Council, is yet to be established, resulting in the EMTs not being regulated. As a result, continuous professional development is neither mandatory nor systematized. Public awareness and first aid knowledge. Mr. Speaker, the general public knowledge of first aid remains alarmingly low. In many instances, cultural practices and misinformation hinder effective emergency response. To cure this low knowledge, the Ministry of Health prescribed first aid education in first and second cycle educational institutions. However, the impact of this education is yet to be felt in our national life, as the immediate response to most medical emergencies by non-medical persons is always points to lack of basic knowledge of medical first aid response. Mr. Speaker, our creative industry that reflects our culture and practices could serve as an avenue for non-formal education on medical emergency first response. Unfortunately, useful tools like Ghanaian movies further promote bad emergency responses like screaming and pouring water on persons with sudden loss of consciousness in movies rather than the application of basic life support practices. Mr. Speaker, best practice models globally recommend simulation exercises in public buildings like this chamber and adjoining buildings, ministries, departments, and agency buildings, schools and auditoriums, and other similar facilities. These simulation exercises simulate medical and fire emergencies and assess the first aid response and the time from incident to complete evacuation of these buildings. These exercises serve as opportunities to educate users of such buildings on emergency response and guide facility managers to improve emergency preparedness. The international best practices. Globally, countries such as Norway and the United Kingdom have achieved significant progress in pre-hospital care through comprehensive legislative frameworks, widespread public education, and robust ambulance services. Notable practices include mandatory AEDs, that's automated external defibrillators, in public spaces. The United Kingdom mandates AEDs in sports facilities, schools, and other high-traffic areas. National training programs. In Norway, all high school students are trained in basic life support before graduation. Simulation exercises. Regular drills in public buildings to assess preparedness and educate occupants on emergency responses have become the order of the day in these places. Sir Speaker, my recommendations for Ghana. I humbly submit the following recommendations for our country. 1, that we strengthen the legal framework. There is the urgent need to enact comprehensive legislation mandating the presence of automated external defibrillators in public spaces and requiring certified basic life support training for personnel in workspaces, schools, and recreational facilities. I call on the Ministry of Health to operationalize the Ambulance Council to regulate the EMTs and ensure consistent training and recertification like all other cadre of health workers do. Investment in the National Ambulance Service. Mr. Speaker, government needs to increase funding to the National Ambulance Service to procure additional. The National Ambulance Service must recruit more paramedics and emergency medical technicians, offering incentives to encourage retention. They should expand training and deployment of the EMTs, particularly in underserved areas, and install first aid stations in high-traffic public places, such as markets, bus terminals, and stadia. Enhance public education. Mr. Speaker, enhanced public education is imperative. I recommend a national campaign to improve first aid knowledge, leveraging on schools, media, and community organizations. The creative industry must be engaged to promote accurate depictions of medical emergency responses in movies and in the media. Integrating some level of pre-hospital care with existing systems like the Ghana Police Service and the National Fire Service. Mr. Speaker, there should be the need to encourage both the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana National Fire Service to incorporate first aid responder emergency care or pre-hospital care system in their activities as pertains in other jurisdictions. These institutions are part of the network of practice in emergency medical services, thereby helping to improve response time to emergency response. Conduct regular simulation exercises. It is important to introduce mandatory simulation drills in public buildings to test emergency preparedness and educate users on evacuation procedures and first aid responses. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, pre-hospital emergency care is a shared responsibility. The survival of an individual during a medical emergency often depends on the actions of the first responder, who could be a passerby, a colleague, or a family member. By strengthening our legal framework and investing in the National Ambulance Service and educating the public, we can save countless lives and ensure a safer Ghana for all. Let us act decisively to make pre-hospital emergency care a priority in our nation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And let me also thank the good people of Lambuse for giving me the opportunity to be in this chamber. Thank you.
Yes, honorable members, that is our first statement. It was quite lengthy. So I will urge all those who have statement with me here, if the statement goes beyond 3 pages, you yourself should find a way of summarizing your statement. Am I right? Yes. So henceforth, if you are bringing a statement, please, since we receive a lot of statements and per our standing orders shouldn't go beyond 1 hour, we should make sure that the statement is crafted in such a way that it wouldn't take a lot of time, so that we can also get time for others to also do so. So on that note, before we will urge you to read our standing orders 93.5, as I invite members to comment on the statement. Yes, before then, let me listen to the Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, just by way of seeking your guidance, if we may, I'm aware that we have, I think, 1 or 2 more statements for the day. We have so many. So, Speaker, if we may just take one on both sides so we can go to the next one. We have only 1 hour. If we may have to enlarge time for statements.
I'm here for the first timers.
Very well.
I can sit here for them.
Okay.
I will only truncate the process if the appointment report is ready.
It's ready. Okay.
Then we take the appointment report. Then we go back to I just want to let the first timers have a feel of the
Speaker,
house.
in that regard, let's take 2 per statement. 2 contributors. That will be 4 contributors per statement.
Well, let me hear. Let me listen to the.
Mr. Speaker, we are not opposed to that. I think 2 should be fine.
Well. So that is the pressure of the leadership. So yes, let me invite Professor Yensu.
Yes, please, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to comment on this issue about emergency medical services. Mr. Speaker, since I came into the Parliament maybe about a couple weeks ago, I have gone around the entire premises, and Mr. Speaker, I don't see any emergency kits or any emergency services provided for us parliamentarians. I don't see AEDs in the bathrooms or in the hallways, And the other day, we also saw the former president's ADC, who fainted in the chamber, and the way the ADC was actually carted away was actually not per standard of care. So, Mr. Speaker, as a trauma surgeon myself, I would like to propose that maybe with your indulgence, that we have a committee that might even have an emergency services team, so that we can walk the premise and see how best we can help ourselves in the room. I also have an agency that we teach emergency services, which is advanced cardiac life support, which is what happens when people are having a heart attack or a stroke. We also have the stroke care. That maybe we offer some of these classes to our parliamentarians, and not only just as parliamentarians, but the staff, as well as perhaps our drivers and maybe our house helps, so that in case one of us is in trouble, at least there's someone who can perform the first aid. Proper first aid leads to decreased morbidity and mortality, and all the studies have shown that. So for me, I'm concerned that we don't have those services available, not even an AED in any of the hallways. Should any one of us in this room have an emergency situation, I think that we probably may not make it to the nearest hospital. So we really need to look at that for us in this chamber and all of us in this House of Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes. Is it Kede Akwatia?
Abuakwa South.
Abuakwa South, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. There's a public health issue that the nation has been dealt with for a very long time. You realize that most of the cases that result in fatality are as a result of our ill handling of some of these issues. We are all at risk, like we usually put it, as it is well dated in literature. You realize that pre-hospital or access to hospital for some of these things is very lacking. We need a very enhanced and well-coordinated public education on the performance of some of these basic healthcare provisions. I want to believe that it was in relation to this that the elsewhere administration of the MPP began the process of procuring an ambulance for every constituency. This was to increase access to healthcare, because before the MPP came to power, ambulance administration was not something that was quite popular. Let's grant it without admitting that this was just a mantra. I want to believe that all of us are at risk. If you go to my constituency now, the ambulance may not be fully functional. I want to direct to the new Minister for Health that one of the key strategies to strengthening health systems has to do with pre-emergency issues. We all watch on television what happened to the ADC of the former president, and the way even Parliament itself handled the issue. It bears ample testimony to the fact that most of us do not have the requisite knowledge on the performance of these basic things. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to associate myself with the statement made by my colleague that it is important that we make a very coordinated and comprehensive attempt at educating the public on how to handle some of these emergencies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother. Yes. You mentioned your name and your constituency.
Right.
I would like to know you. So.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Emmanuel Kofi Intekuni, Pro-West constituency. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to collaborate the statement our colleague, Professor Bayo, made on the floor of Parliament. Indeed, pre-hospital care is a very important aspect of public care. And if serious attention is given to this aspect of healthcare, it's going to reduce mortality rate drastically. Conditions that are not supposed to result in death end up in that case because response time to emergencies is very critical. Most of the emergency cases, early recognition and early response to those emergencies will end up averting the situation. What we often see is poor management of the emergencies that we usually come across. And this is due to lack of public knowledge about minor way of handling these cases. In fact, Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to know that most of the emergency cases do not need serious medical equipment or drugs. It's just simple maneuvers that will help to bring the patient back to life. Mr. Speaker, when I came here, the first day of our orientation, I happened to chance on an emergency case. And it was epistaxis, nosebleed. One of the staff here bumped into a glass and then started having nosebleed. And I was the only health professional around. And luckily, I knew how to handle this case. And it was properly handled before the medical team in the parliament came and then took over. So, Mr. Speaker, it's very important that the public should be educated on how to manage these things. First aid training, especially for parliamentarians, is very important because we also have our relatives, our kids at home. Minor cases like choking and other things can be managed by us. So I urge the leadership of the parliament to institute something like first aid training for all the parliamentarians. I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. What is your background?
Health.
What is your...
I'm a physician assistant.
Physician assistant. Okay, very well. May you put off your microphone. Okay, good. Is it Dapa? Yes, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to talk about health. Now, when you come to, I'm here for the good people of Afano Southwest. That is my council district. Mine is to do with the health sector. Now, when you come to Afano, for instance, our ambulance is not functioning properly. And I know definitely we might have similar cases in the house. So I may urge the new health minister, once we've done it before, across, we set a very exemplary life by giving or issuing every constituency one ambulance. And I'll be happy if there can be additional one ambulance to every constituency. So at least we can also combat the morbidity and then mortality rate of the good people of Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. So you've taken the 2-2. Is that not?
That is so, Mr. Speaker.
So, okay, honourable members, let me take one more. Let me use my office to take one more. Yes,
thank
my
you,
brother.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you. My name is Philip Fifi Bachman, Kwesimentim constituency.
Kwesimentim, okay.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Just brief. Mr. Speaker, I would want to commend the maker of the statement. He's done very well by bringing this to the attention of the House. I would want to add, Mr. Speaker, that our various educational institutions, especially the basic schools, should be made to have these as part of their curriculum, so that if we catch them young, knowing about some of these basic, pre-medical or pre-hospital, treatments, we wouldn't have issues carrying people to the hospital before they are treated. And also, our CHIPS compounds would have to be well resourced, if so is done, because they are the basic points where if somebody has these minor ailments or sickness, they would want to go before they are referred to the hospitals. And lastly, about the ambulances. Yes, the good people of Kwesimitim constituency, Mr. Speaker, do not have ambulance. It is a fear Kwesimitim. And if you go to the hospital, you have one. And even the ambulances, to be able to access an ambulance, sometimes you would have to be called upon to provide for, fuel. So we will humbly pray that we take these, one, educational institutions, two, we make sure that our CHIPS compounds are well resourced, and three, we make sure that in as much as we have provided ambulances, we provide the necessary logistics for them to be able to perform effectively. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Then let him take the last one from Manson Kwanta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to add a few words to the statement made by my honorable friend. Mr. Speaker, the essence of pre-hospital care is to ensure timely and efficient life-saving medical assistance to humans. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the current setting of our country, you could have, let's say, one district with several towns that has just one ambulance, for instance. So if there are different emergencies happening at different locations, in my constituency, which is Manson Kwanta, we have about 70 towns with one ambulance. So emergencies, this is where the medical drones come in to assist. This is where the medical drones come in to assist. So we thank His Excellency for such a brilliant idea. Mr. Speaker, what I will add is we should look at similar ways to address this big issue. Some of them being mobile clinics. So like I said, some of these districts, wide in nature, not easy to access. We should have some mobile clinics across. We might not have all the resources, but at least some satellites across to be able to address and handle emergencies. We should be able to have some digital records such that a health officer somewhere can easily access the records of another person in a remote area. It shouldn't always be by physical means, because sometimes it is just not possible. So, Mr. Speaker, we should look at technology in addressing these, especially in our rural areas. And I believe this will help us to some extent, address the issue of pre-medical health, which is a big issue in our country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll bring, yes.
Speaker, just to seek your guide again on this matter, are we including leadership in the numbers per each statement? I'll
leave it with you if you want to say something.
Yes. Are you minded?
Because my position is that today I want to give it to the first timers.
Okay.
So if even you are here, you are a second timer or third timer, you have a statement with me, I will not give you the opportunity. I'm giving the opportunity to only the first timers. So if I had my own way, even leadership, you exclude yourself so that we get opportunity for.
Speaker, all good. It's just for the guide.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Member for Weja Bawe, I want to take your statement, but when is the World Leprosy Day?
Mr. Speaker, it was on the 26th, just this Sunday.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can take it.
Yes.
So I'll give you the opportunity to make the second statement.
Speaker, just for your guide again, but the honorable member for Wijagbaw, it's not a member of the backbench.
But he's a first timer. But he's a first timer.
By virtue of his position, the standing orders are very clear that even if you are a first timer and by virtue of your position of leadership, you no longer belongs to. but we are guided, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. So can we waive that? So, honorable member, you are allowed. So you can.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this is a statement by me on the World Leprosy Day. Mr. Speaker, my name is Jerry Ahmed Shaib, the Member of Parliament for Wijagbaw constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to deliver this statement in observance of the World Leprosy Day, which fell on the 26th day of January 2025. This occasion provides an opportunity to reflect on the progress made in combating leprosy and to reaffirm our commitment to addressing the challenges that persist. Mr. Speaker, leprosy, though treatable, remains a significant health and social issue, especially for individuals living in impoverished conditions. It is not merely a medical condition, but also a neglected tropical disease, NTD, and that perpetuates cycles of poverty through its association with disability, stigma, and discrimination. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has made remarkable progress in the fight against leprosy. In 1998, we exceeded the threshold set by the World Health Assembly for eliminating leprosy as a public health concern. This achievement has been sustained despite the detection of over 200 new cases annually in recent years, an impressive reduction compared to the over 1,500 new cases recorded annually before the year 2000. Mr. Speaker, this success is commendable and reflects the tireless efforts of the Ghana Health Service and its partners. Key interventions, particularly the strengthening of the National Leprosy Control Program, have been pivotal. Furthermore, initiatives to improve the welfare of individuals affected by leprosy have included, and not limited to, expanding LEAP enrollment. More individuals have been enrolled in the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP program, managed by the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. Doubling the LEAP allocations, Mr. Speaker, the daily allocations under the LEAP program has been increased from 1 cedi to 4 cedis. The DACF allocations, Funds from the District Assembly's Common Fund have been directed towards building and renovating leprosy facilities, as well as providing consistent nutritional support for affected individuals in settlements. Mr. Speaker, the leprosarium in Wejagbawe currently needs a kitchen to that effect. Ongoing district interventions, efforts to stop the transmission of leprosy in all districts are actively underway. Mr. Speaker, despite this commendable advancement, much work remains to be done to eradicate leprosy entirely and to improve the quality of life for those impacted, as we know. Since 2003, leprosy has been classified as one of the neglected tropical diseases, primarily affecting vulnerable populations living in poverty. Left unaddressed, it causes severe harm, leading to social and economic marginalization, Mr. Speaker. As members of Parliament, we have a duty to champion policies and allocate resources to eradicate leprosy in Ghana. I therefore urge the government to prioritize the following actions, Mr. Speaker. Increase the LEAP allocations daily, which is now 4 cedis, which we see as insufficient given the rising cost of living. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully call on the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to review and increase the amount to provide sustainable support for individuals affected by leprosy. We also need to sustain food assistance via the DACF. Many individuals impacted by leprosy rely on consistent food support through the DACF. This initiative must continue and should go on without any form of disruption. Mr. Speaker, we also need to enhance health subsidies. The government should provide increased financial support to institutions addressing leprosy-related complications, including disability prevention and management. Mr. Speaker, we also need to expand the National Health Insurance Scheme benefits. The National Health Insurance Scheme should broaden its coverage to include comprehensive care for leprosy and other NTDs. We also respectfully need to boost funding for leprosy interventions. We call on the Ministry of Health to allocate additional resources to the Ghana Health Service to implement targeted measures aimed at eliminating leprosy and other neglected tropical diseases, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the fight against leprosy is not merely a medical issue. It is also a matter of social justice and inclusion. Those affected by leprosy must not be subjected to stigma, discrimination, or economic disadvantage. As leaders, we must advocate for policies and programs that uphold the dignity, equity, and opportunities of all Ghanaians, irrespective of their circumstances, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend the individuals and organizations dedicated to combating leprosy. I express my deepest appreciation to Father Andrew Neilante Campbell for his unwavering commitment to this cause. His work continues to inspire hope and serves as a powerful example of what can be achieved when we serve humanity with compassion. Mr. Speaker, I also commend the very good works and efforts of His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the former Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, who has strongly advocated for the welfare of persons affected by leprosy. Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that in 2018, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia launched the Zero Leprosy Ghana initiative, which aimed to eliminate leprosy in Ghana by 2030 and has consistently and constantly donated to support the Weja Leprosarium in my beloved constituency and in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, let us use this occasion to renew our commitment to building a society where no one is excluded or left behind, where no one is marginalized because of a curable condition, which is leprosy. Let us aspire to a future where leprosy is consigned to the history books, and every Ghanaian enjoys access to health, dignity, and opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I extend my gratitude for this opportunity and make this statement. May divine blessings be upon our beloved Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me first and foremost identify you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My name is Dr. Othniel Ekokwenu.
May you speak up, please?
My name is Dr. Othniel Kwenu, and I represent the people of Ekunfi.
Please speak up. I'm still not hearing you well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my name is Dr. Othniel Ekokwenu, and I represent the people of Ekunfi. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement made by the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, in my submission, I would like to dovetail a bit more into the world of people living with disability, not only for those with leprosy. Because, Mr. Speaker, for many years now, we can see the strides Ghana has made in terms of reducing people living with leprosy. However, if you juxtapose that with those living with disability, you can clearly see that the world of disability, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I'm particularly excited with his submission, especially on the allocations that are being made on the LEAP program, as well as the benefits that they get in terms of the amount. Considering today's cost of living, which is very high, I think the 4 cities, it may even be worth to even consider increasing it a bit more. Mr. Speaker, I think that also in terms of the District Assembly's Common Fund allocation to especially people living with disability, it may be appropriate in terms of today's Ghana and our cost of living to also increase the amount, as well as look at ways of improving access to those funds in terms of people living with disability. Mr. Speaker, before I come to a close, I want to also commend President Mahama for his initiative to make sure people living with disability enjoy free university education to make them also good citizens of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Yes, let me come to Abuakwa North. Is it Abuakwa North?
The Speaker is Ekuapem North.
Ekuapem North, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Speaker, I will be glad to welcome you up the hill. So it's Ekuapem North, not Abuakwa.
Then invite me specially.
Mr. Speaker, we will. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to contribute towards the statement made by the Honorable Member for Wejagbawe, and also to further extend it beyond just leaving everything on the shoulders of government, but also inviting that of corporate bodies and well-meaning Ghanaians in the fight against eliminating leprosy. Once again, I also would like to extend it further to also situate it in the broader context on how people living with such diseases are marginalized in our society. If I take Ekuapem North, for instance, that's the only constituency with 2 special needs schools in Ghana, the school for the deaf and the school for the blind. Many a times, public places and institutions do not cater for persons living with even disability. Again, how they are also treated in public and how they are also sidelined in the decision-making process is also something worth taking a second look at. So as we talk about eliminating leprosy, which is also one of the neglected tropical diseases, I also would like this august house to also help support effort in making the situation of persons living with disability, at least, if not comfortable like ours, also for them to also have that decent living and support from all of us. And it's on this note that I associate myself and commend the works of even Father Campbell and Dr. Baumia for the effort that they have made over the years in moving beyond the stigma and supporting persons with such neglected diseases. But Mr. Speaker, I would like to also respectfully that you use your high office to help also champion the cause of the disabled and the special needs people in our country. In many of these public institutions, when you go, even the ramps for persons with disability to even get access to some of these high places, they are non-existent. And then also helping us fight the stigma associated with their condition. So yes, the honorable member from Wager has made this clarion call, but I would like to contribute further that we also consider the plight of these persons with disability as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Professor Bayo, you have spoken. Let me give the opportunity to the gentleman. No.
Thank you, Speaker.
I'll come to you. Let me give it to. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Your name and your
I'm Thomas Anaba, Garu constituency.
Garu, very well.
Yes, please. I would like to associate myself with the presenter of the paper for calling on Ghanaians and bringing to light the challenges confronting people with disability, especially the leopards. It is true that being a leopard, you have a lot of social challenges because of the stigma, and many people do not tend to associate with you simply because of the fear they have in contracting the disease. But my challenge is, why do we still keep having this negligible disease spreading now? It is perhaps possibly because of insufficient information within communities that we have a lot of people with leprosy. So I would call for the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health to intensify education in areas that we think leprosy is becoming more rampant and people are devolving it. I will also call on the government, just like they have called, to also increase the support they give to people living with disability, because in our communities, many of those who have disability depend on people like paupers begging around for every help, so that if they increase the District Assembly Common Fund, for which I know, and I have a lot of disabled people in my community, Garu, who told me they have not yet received their share of the District Assembly Common Fund because the government has not yet sent monies to the Assembly, so they are suffering because of that. Let's also ensure that the District Assembly Common Fund is sent very quickly so that they receive their monies early as possible to help buttress their inability. I'll move back to the subject that we dealt with regarding the ambulance service, because it's dear to me. Dear to me because I live in a constituency that the government gave them an ambulance, but the ambulance has been broken down for almost a year. I had to buy an ambulance for the constituency. Meanwhile, we've heard of contracts being given for spare parts for ambulances packed, and we don't know where that money is, and we don't know where the spare parts are.
Honorable member, please. That is why.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, hold on. That is why at the beginning of the comment, I asked all of you to read 93.5. 93.5. And if I'll have to read again to all of us, a member may comment on the statement for a period. Hello, honorable members, please listen to me. Honorable Stephen Amwa, please. May comment on the statement for a period not exceeding 5 minutes. My focus is not on that, and the comment shall not provoke debate. Please, those areas that will degenerate into angles of debate, please, let's eschew them. So, my brother, you may continue, but this is from that angle you are championing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. The importance of ambulances to Ghana is well known, and I think if we go back to July 2019, there was a report of 70 women dying in Eastern region for lack of ambulance. Perhaps thanks to those deaths, unfortunately, at least we saw reason in buying more ambulances for Ghana. And I'll pray that we are able to get more ambulances to help in the pre-hospital emergency care. Just like many of the contributors said, early treatment would save so many people from dying and getting complications, especially somebody who is bleeding from an emergency, somebody who has gotten a stroke. If you get a stroke and you are able to get to a hospital within 1 hour with a CT scan done, they are able to treat you very well, and 90% of those people will survive. If you get a heart attack and you are able to get to hospital, get basic life support, and get to hospital within 1 hour, your chances of surviving is very, very high. So therefore, I would like to add to the call of my colleague that let's ensure that we get proper education to the general public. It shouldn't just be to offices. The National Ambulance Service, just like the National Fire Service is doing, go to offices, go to communities as part of their duties and train people on basic life support. That one alone can save a lot of people and a lot of lives in this country and a lot of complications. Also, we can also do what we call competition on TVs, because we see young people growing up in schools and the only clubs they join are religious clubs. There's nothing. You don't see anything regarding health. So I think that if we inculcate this thing in the youth, in the children, as they are schooling, they will learn how to do basic life support and then the rest. Also improving on the transport system and giving way for emergency vehicles to pass, because sometimes you see an emergency vehicle blowing horn and drivers don't have space to park for them to pass. So it will also call on the transport sector in the big cities like Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi, and the rest, for them to create a special lane for those vehicles to be able to pass in case we have enough ambulances for the country. So at this end, I will thank Mr. Speaker very much for allowing me to contribute to the debate.
Thank you very much. Now let me go to Odotobi. But honorable member, are you a first timer?
The Speaker made it clear that we should all be part of the first timers. And Mr. Speaker, I have an interest in this statement.
Okay, you let me finish.
Thank you.
Honorable members, as to whether a former leader can be classified as a backbencher, I mean, we all live to see. Yes, honorable member for Dotobli.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I associate myself with the statement made by Honorable Member for Weja Bawe. Mr. Speaker, from the statement and from what I personally know, a lot is being done, and for that I commend the Ghana Health Service together with all individuals ensuring that this disease would leave our land, eradicate leprosy. I also commend them for the gains they've made in terms of monies being paid, etc. But then there's one aspect regarding people with disability that is being disregarded. We have laws protecting them. We have laws prohibiting discrimination against persons affected with leprosy, not just leprosy, with disability in general. We realize that when it comes to taking care of their health, a good job is done. They are sent through rehabilitation, etc. But then we haven't gotten to the point where we have eradicated leprosy and a lot of these disabilities, which means that laws like the Human Rights Act, laws like the Disability Act, please let the backbenchers be heard, Mr. Minister. Yes, so we have laws that we are not making good use of. And I mentioned two laws in particular. One is the Disability Act of 2006, Act 715. The other is the Human Rights Act 1999, Act 584. At the end of the day, after rehabilitation, my question is, those with this, leprosy, for instance, they don't have the opportunity to go to school. They don't have the opportunity to enjoy other facilities as I and you would be enjoying. So I would plead with the authorities involved. The laws are already in place. We should make sure that persons with disability also enjoy all the other benefits that those of us who do not have disability enjoy. How often do we see ramps when you get to most state buildings, private buildings, other facilities? Most of the times, persons with disabilities would need assistance to open the door, to go up the ladder, or to go into the elevator. So these laws are not being properly applied. I think persons in high authority have to take note of this. My last point is on the discrimination in terms of the stigma that is attached to disabilities. We would have to do more education to let everybody know that once you have a disability, it does not mean that you are not one of us. It doesn't make you any less human than those of us here in Parliament or outside Parliament. We are not doing enough education. I think we are focusing more on the eradication, but we still have persons with disability living with us. And if we are not careful, we'll continue to have them living with us for a longer time. So let us begin to treat them with more respect, show more love to them, and apply the laws that have been made for their benefit, for their use. I'm very grateful.
Thank you very much. Is it a point of...
Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of concern, and I want to draw your attention to it. You saw it yourself, but maybe you want to gloss over it. After the induction, especially the new members, they've been taking through orientation as to how to conduct themselves when they enter the chamber. We had a second timer just cross in front of the maid. Mr. Speaker, like he's cross carpet. And this is not the first and the last time. So if you don't enforce the rules, people will take it for granted that it's a normal practice in this house. Mr. Speaker, it's unacceptable. So if he has crossed carpet, he should announce it so that we'll give him a seat over here, so that we'll conduct a by-election. A second timer. You know, when they come and they are given ministerial position, they spend all their time at the ministry. They don't learn the rudiment of parliament. This is not the embarrassment they are causing everybody here. And Mr. Speaker, you saw it, and you were not happy with it. So let's begin apply sanctions. You were not here. So what do you want to speak to? When the incident happened, you were not here. Yeah. Go to appointment committee and vet nominees. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. We've taken notice of it. I think we will make appropriate announcement to that. Yesterday, I personally observed one, and I think we need to look at it. Once the maze is there, there's no way you can cross. Is it the bar? Clark? Is that you call the place a bar? Yes. Yes. So let me listen to you, my brother.
Speaker, I thank you. Speaker, I thank you for the uncommon opportunity. Afajatu South. And then I particularly, Mr. Speaker, I particularly wish to elect you for high praise for your relentless commitment to boosting the morale of those of us who are fresh in the House. We hope to step up the plate. Whilst at that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend the maker of the statement, the respected MP for Wejagbawe, and to fully associate with the statement made. Mr. Speaker, literature has taught us that a staggering figure of 200,000 individuals have been infected annually by leprosy worldwide. This means that 200,000 more people are made potentially disabled each year. 200,000 people potentially face stigma each year. And I think as a world and a country, we must rise up to the occasion. Mr. Speaker, of crucial concern to me is our pretentious attitude as Ghanaians. In Ghana, the only name that is synonymous to leprosy is Reverend Father Andrews Campbell. Even a child in my village knows him, and they'll be able to tell you this is the Lone Ranger, or the only person who advocates relentlessly for issues concerning leprosy. Mr. Speaker, Father Campbell is an Irish and a Ghanaian at the same time. The question is, what happens to the rest of us? We can do more. We are a people who are highly religious, and yet we do not show so much compassion when duty calls. I call on all of us, especially respected honorable members of this august House, to do the needful. And Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we cannot, and I say we cannot, say that we are unable to find reliable and sustainable sources of funding for this particular disease. It is possible. This one, I must underline that this one alone is possible. It is possible for us as a Ghanaian to find a reliable and a sustainable source of funding. Mr. Speaker, the stigma is another important aspect, and I think now is the time. We need to go back to basics, right from our basic schools, right from our cultural setting, to boost education. Education is key in this respect, and I employ the House to take a stage in that. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
But you are part of majority.
Yes, on count.
Okay, yesterday I didn't give you the opportunity. I'll give you the opportunity. Yes.
Thank you.
I shall return.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I will admit that I'm not a backbencher, but I have a special interest in this statement because in the past, the whole northern zone, lepers are housed in Pandai. And we have one of the biggest leprosarium in a place called Nkanchina in the Pandai district. So it is this that is giving me the encouragement to also add my voice to the maker of the statements to say that these are a group of individuals that need a lot of attention. And I'll urge the House and Ghana as a whole to acknowledge the role Father Campbell is playing in assisting these lepers. If you go to Nkanchina, I would say they have one of the biggest shelter properly built by Father Campbell and his group. And they come to their aid almost every time. And I personally, when I was here and when I left, I always made sure that I contributed my quota for
the survival of these people. Mr. Speaker, we all know lepers. Even in the Bible, they were discriminated against. And how much more we, those who are not religious like those days. That kind of attitude is causing a lot of pain when you visit the lepers. And sometimes, like the maker of the statements rightly said, they are part of the people that we support with this leap. And how much is it, Mr. Speaker? 4 Ghana cedis. For an adult, a grown-up adult, 4 Ghana cedis is woefully inadequate. And the assembly is supposed to be those giving them some kind of support. But, Mr. Speaker, I really don't see that much. I don't see that much. And I wish to place on record that we all make a call, a big call, to the district assembly to try as much as possible to take care of these lepers. Else, sometimes when you visit them, their cry is just too much. And like the maker of the statement also rightly said, the health insurance scheme, they should try as much as possible to extend whatever assistance they can when these people are ill, so that they can easily access the various hospitals that are available, free of charge, because they cannot do anything for themselves. Absolutely nothing. Sometimes when you see them, they are completely off. They cannot hold anything important. So individuals like this, if government don't come to their aid, it will be very difficult for them to survive. On this note, the maker of the statement, let me thank you once again, and thank Mr. Speaker also for the opportunity to add my voice to this statement. I'm most grateful.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I think the invitation is to all of us. We are all invited to champion the cause of disabilities in general. It is very important, the unfortunate ones among us, let's show love towards them. I think in this particular circumstance, let me mention one of us, Honorable Crementa Park, who has taken it upon himself to champion disability cause. So let's help him, and let's help all other members we come across who are disabled. I think we will have our blessings from that. Thank you, Honorable Member for Weja Bawi. So, Leader of the House, should I continue with my course, or you want to make your statement first? I shall allow you to make your statement first. First, I'll come back to you. The Leader of the House would like to make a statement, so I'll give the floor to him.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleague members of Parliament, since assuming office a week ago, my immediate attention has been on how to contribute towards the efforts of my predecessors and our Right Honorable Speaker, Sumana Alban Kingsford Bagbin, to strengthen the institution of Parliament by addressing the anxieties and concerns of members of Parliament when they fail to be re-elected or voluntarily decide not to run for office again. An institution is as strong as the individuals who populate that institution. Parliamentarians who know they are well catered for when they retire will be difficult to bribe and improperly influence. They can devote their attention to work and put up their best for their constituents and country. They will make Ghana great again. They can more adequately resist pressure from lobbyists and certain interest groups. So on the basis of that, I am proposing to this House for us to design a pension scheme that will cater to the needs of parliamentarians when they decide not to run for office again, or they run but they lose their elections and they are no longer here in this House. Mr. Speaker, it is a noble thing to decide to serve your constituency in this House, and sometimes people serve for a very long time, and in my instance, I was here since 20 years ago. I know of colleagues in this House who have been here for the past 24 years, and yet those people leave this House without an adequate pension arrangements to cater for their needs so that they can live in dignity when they leave this House. There's a perception that we are all very rich and we are well-to-do. But many of you in this chamber know that that is far from reality. There are many of us who are not that well-to-do and haven't prepared very well before coming to this House and have had a difficulty throughout their stay in this House maintaining their constituencies and themselves. And yet, we don't have a pension scheme that caters for MPs when they leave this House. Some MPs leave this House and within months, sometimes not years, most MPs leave this House and within a very short period of time, when you meet colleagues outside this House, they are in a very miserable and deplorable state. And sometimes, whilst here, out of our meager resources, we will have to be extending support to our colleagues who unfortunately couldn't make it to return to this House. Some parliaments have mechanisms and schemes that they use to support parliamentarians. And so we are looking at establishing a committee of this House to look at all the available models of schemes that are used as pension schemes for parliamentarians when they finally leave this House. We have models in the UK. The UK has a Pensions Act, an MP's Pensions Act, which has a scheme that has a benefit package for MPs. It is drawn out of contributions from individual members of parliament, and then contributions from the exchequer, and then they have different benefit packages for MPs depending on how long they have stayed in the House and at what age they have retired out of parliament. We also have a model not far away on the African continent in Kenya. And Kenya also has a model that is partly funded from the state coffers and then contributions from members of parliament. Here in Ghana, we want to establish a scheme, but we don't want the pensions of members of parliament to become a burden on the taxpayer. And so we are proposing to design an MP's pension scheme that is going to be funded from carbon credits, revenues from carbon credit. We believe that the carbon credit market is one that has not been fully explored by Ghana. And so if we put in place the right infrastructure for carbon credit markets, and we put members of parliament in charge of ensuring that all the policies and programs that enable Ghana to gain so much from trading in carbon credit in the international market, some of those revenues can go into the pension fund of members of parliament. And because members of parliament will be benefiting enormously from that fund, then all members of parliament, including past members of parliament, will become more devoted to all the measures that need to be put in place in order to deal with emission challenges, carbon emission issues, and environmental sustainability policies and programs, ensuring that we become a greener economy, ensuring that we diversify our energy sources, and ultimately all that would earn us more carbon credits. And in the process, we'll be gaining more money from the carbon credit revenues, and then with our commitment to put some of it in the pension fund of members of parliament, parliamentarians will be able to retire on a very decent pension. Mr. Speaker, this is the proposal that I have for this House, and I want to move that this House considers and adopts this proposal for us to set up a committee which will study all the available options, bring us concrete proposals for us to set up an MP's pension fund scheme that draws resources largely from carbon credit revenue. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Thank you very much, Leader of the House. Yes, this time around, I may invite members who are seniors. Not to say I wouldn't invite any newcomer, but this discussion is very inclusive. So let me give the opportunity to what?
Speaker, just by way of guidance, let's agree on the number of contributors. Yes, it's important. You just spoke as a freshman. Now you are up as a senior. Speaker just recognized you as... Okay, you've abandoned that. Okay. So, Speaker, because it's such a major policy statement, let me pray that we do 3-3. 3-3, yes. It's a major.
Well. 3-3, then I'll give the final to the leadership. So, Honorable Patrick Boama, let's start with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make some comments on the statement ably made by the Leader of Government Business and the Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, it's a good call from the Leader of the House for members to continue to discuss issues about their pensions. Mr. Speaker, in his statement, he rightly attributed the fact that the public out there believe that members of parliament are rich. Yes, they have a right to believe so, because of the way we also carry ourselves out there. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, it's also primarily because of the way our parties also organize our parliamentary primaries. The kind of resources we are able to marshal and mobilize to go and win primaries, the distribution of items, also gives credence to the fact that we are a rich class. Mr. Speaker, we also need to watch that. Mr. Speaker, the public doesn't even know that the car loans we take are deducted from us, our salaries, and our source, and that we make the right contributions towards the cars that we drive, and that the Member of Parliament pays his or her driver, and it comes from the same salary, unlike other Article 71 office holders who enjoy all those benefits, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the public also don't know that some MPs, right from day one, mortgage their salaries or their earnings, take facilities to undertake some of the projects or developments within the constituency. It is clear and must be known. Mr. Speaker, the leader has proposed a scheme based on the UK Pensions Act, or scheme for members of parliament, and also he's thinking on the lines of the Kenyan model. He's also proposing that we look at carbon emissions or carbon credit to fund ours. It's a matter of policy for the government to decide whether the government is going to support this policy, because to trade your carbon is a matter of the executive taking that decision. We as a House cannot on our own take that decision. It has to be a proposal from the Leader of Government Business, who is not a Minister of State, and I recommend that the President Mahama makes him a Minister of State. He has done 40-something, so adding Honorable Ayariga as a minister to carry that weight to present a proposal on behalf of members of parliament to his cabinet to enable us have that backing of the executive to be able to trade in carbons to fund our pensions. Mr. Speaker, you know, former colleagues will come to you and ask for, I don't want to mention the amount, 200 cedis to buy their medication. You'll be surprised. And it's a very important call. We've been talking about these issues, but the action ought to commence now. And I'll commend the leader for making this very important statement, his maiden one and a weighty one as such. And I wish him the very best in the roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Let him give it to Honorable Samson.
Thank you very much.
This time I haven't heard the voice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to what the majority leader has put forward. And I want to, first of all, commend him highly. I can see that he's ready to work. Because for him to come out with this laudable proposal, I only pray that he has started very well. God will be with him to continue so that he will take care of the condition of honorable members. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the Article 71 groups, the judicial people, when they go on retirement from the High Court, Appeal Court, to the Supreme Court, they all go on retirement on their salaries. As soon as a High Court judge is appointed, the state hired a driver for him, provide him with fuel, and so on and so forth. But same cannot be said for members of parliament. You are elected as member of parliament, and you have to employ your own driver, pay him or her from your meager salary that is given to you. When you go on retirement, you are at the mercy of God. How you survive, nobody cares. Mr. Speaker, so I think that this is very, very important, and it is timely that we look at this thing critically. And I'm sure former MPs who are here, from time to time, our former colleagues come to this parliament, and you see their situations, their conditions, very horrible. Some of them even manage to buy their daily drugs. It's a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, even though we opted to come and serve, now it's becoming like a sin to offer yourself to serve as a member of parliament. Look, the whole of last 8 parliaments, our salaries were never increased. Our salaries were never increased. We have to live on the previous parliament salaries. And I'm sure non-parliament too is going to continue. As we are here now, we don't know how much we are going to earn in the form of salaries. So why should we be treated this way? So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we should take this matter seriously, and that committee should be constituted today, to start work today, now, so that we'll know how much we're going to contribute towards it, and allow the state to also provide a seed fund, sort of, so that at least we are assured that tomorrow, if you are no more in parliament, there is something for you to live on. Mr. Speaker, I have been here for 20 years already. I've been here for 20 years, but I don't have any security. If I should leave Parliament today, I don't have any security to guarantee how I'm going to survive in this country. So I want to commend Harry, the majority leader, for this proposal. All of us must embrace it and ensure that it comes to realization so that tomorrow, today is not, you are in Parliament, so you think that you don't need it. But don't forget, the way that you came here, in the same way that you live here. So let's all come together and then support this proposal so that tomorrow, when we are not more in Parliament, we can also get something to survive on. So with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and thank Majority Leader for this proposal. Let's all welcome it and accept it and support it so that at the end of the day, we have something ahead of us when tomorrow we are no more members of Parliament. Thank you for the opportunity.
Honourable members, I saw a lot of people trooping in. Is it because of the topic? This gentleman just came in and he is on. Okay, you hold on. I'll come to you. But please, let's be guided. We are an arm of government. Let's fight for our own. It is better than to try to insinuate to other areas. Let's please focus on our path. Let's focus on our path and probably fight for our own. Yes, I'll come to you. Let's give to Honorable Kwaku.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what the majority leader put across isn't a proposition anybody would want to oppose. And when I listen to members who have spoken to his statement, we all agree that some form of pension scheme would be good for members of Parliament. When the majority leader spoke, he did make reference to a committee, terms of reference, any reference to carbon credit, so that when a committee sits with the executive, they will be able to give us a way of financing it that is fair and that is consistent across the public sector. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me give our mother. Honorable Ladi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, but I could be called our sister. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by my brother and then the leader of government business. Mr. Speaker, it is a very important and laudable statement he has made. And just as earlier commenters might have said, when you sit here, you actually do not see the situation as long as you continue to be an MP. It is when you meet some of our colleagues that reality will dawn on you. Some have actually died out of poverty. Some have had certain issues that are such that they cannot even come back to this house to complain. And one of my colleagues across the aisle said it. Some of these issues are created by ourselves. Because when you live a certain lifestyle, you try as much as you can to support those that are outside. Sometimes you go a borrowing to support them. Some of them believe that you take so much money or you get so much money. Mr. Speaker, take it or leave it. It is believed that we have money to the extent that, after all, we are supposed to do whatsoever is needed by our constituents and, for that matter, other persons within society. But it's most unfortunate. Our businesses, some of us, our businesses die naturally when we become MPs. Because once you put someone there to take care of your business while you are here, the person has found a gold mine. Excuse me. The person would have found a gold mine, thinks that after all, you have the money, you can get it. Oh, let me go on. By the time this woman or this MP comes back, I should have put up a house, I should have a car, and I should have all the basic necessities that I think are needed, which is very bad. Mr. Speaker, I want us to note that even some constituents believe that we are giving money to go into elections. I can assure you, people will make these statements and you will be shocked. Whether primaries or general elections, we must make sure that we let this go out there that nobody gives another person money to go campaigning, whether primaries or general elections. And also, one big problem, our vehicles, the V8s that we have, people believe that we are giving for free. If you go to Parliament, you will get a V8. They do not know that our salaries are being used. As for fuel, oh, that one, when you go to any fuel station, you will just go and fill your tank and begin going. So what is your problem? We have coupons and we have even the power to go and say we should be giving fuel. Mr. Speaker, please, we shouldn't let this rest. We shouldn't let it be go to sleep on the shelves again. Just as my colleague has suggested, let us have, I will suggest that we should have a 7-member committee to look into this matter, make its recommendations, and ensure that we take it up. We cannot we shouldn't limit the sources of funding or where monies will be coming from. They should look at it broadly. Wherever monies will come from, we should be supported. So that at the end of the day, MPs will not leave this house after 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 years, and then they go a-begging. So, Mr. Speaker, once there will be many others who will be coming up, I will suggest that we look at this issue critically and take it up. However, the issue of our salaries should be looked at so that we will know what we are taking. If you are taking 20 Ghana cedis at the end of the month, you know what you are going to spend that 20 Ghana cedis on. But you cannot be living on foreign aid, and good luck. Sometimes you go a-begging, which is not the best. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement.
Thank you very much. Let me come to Kojo Oponkroma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the leader of government business for the statement and the request that a committee be set up to look into this matter of pensions for members of parliament. The leader is showing that apart from a lot of litigation on the standing orders that he will be doing, he will also have a lot of interest in welfare. Leader, may you live long. Mr. Speaker, I think what we need to do is to allow the committee to go and consider the options. And as was mentioned by the Honorable Kweku Kwatin, refrain from tying the committee's hands in any way. Particularly also because the truth is that when it comes to matters of facilities or welfare of any of the arms of government, sometimes it's very easily misinterpreted. So I think we should allow the committee to go and do its work and come up with recommendations. But to the extent that some preliminary suggestions have been made on the floor, please permit me to disagree with some of my colleagues. This is an arm of government. Our conversation should not be about some other arm of government underwriting or supporting what this arm of government seeks to do. In fact, I dare say that our conversation should be that the matters under Article 71(1), when it comes to determining the conditions of service of a member of parliament, should rather be expedited so that there's clarity on what your compensation is as a member of parliament early enough. And out of that, you take responsibility for your own pension arrangements. We are asking ordinary people, business people, civil servants to plan for their financial future and to take responsibility out of their own salaries for taking up whether life insurance policies or other things. So instead of worrying about which arm of government is coming to or should be invited to come and provide seed money or underwrite or support us, I think, let's leave it to the committee to go and do their work. But specifically because some of these suggestions have come up, I think we should be focused rather on urging the leader of government business and the government to inform the president to deal with Article 71(1) expeditiously, so that it's not at the end of your term as a member of parliament that your salary is determined and then made as a lump sum paid for you. How are you going to pay your premiums for your pension? Rather have it done expeditiously. Then you as MP, you know clearly that your salary is 4,000 or 5,000 cedis. And if you are underwriting a pension scheme and you are paying your premium for it, you know how much you are deducting and paying. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a good request by the leader, but I think we should let the committee go and do its work. And I think that we should focus as a House, as members of Parliament, on getting our conditions of service right. And out of that, we pay our premiums and get our pension. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, once I see Honourable Collins Dowda, I'm duty bound to call him. Is the 8th or 9th offer? You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend my support to the statement ably made by the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, the statement is proposing the setting up or establishment of a pension scheme for members of parliament. And when I listened to him, he said those about 65 years. Therefore, I cannot but support this important statement. Indeed, the statements that have been made are all very, very good. But let's not belabor it. It is too good to attract protracted debate. The maker of the statement says that a committee should be set up to look into the nitty-gritties of it. And then a report will be generated for the whole House to take a look at it. Mr. Speaker, I wish I had made a member of the committee. Mr. Speaker, I make this request because I have been in this parliament before. I'm still here, and I have the experience of being a member of parliament. I've been out of parliament. I have the experience of being out of parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we are out of parliament, the baggage that you carry when you are a member of parliament, if you are not lucky, outside parliament, you say carry that baggage. There are constituents who get so attached to you that they will never let you go. They will come with their school fees. When their relatives die, they will come to you to buy coffins, to bury their relations for you. So, if this pension scheme is established, it will cushion any member of parliament who exits. And so for me, I would plead with Mr. Speaker to bring this debate to a close and get the committee established with me as a member of the committee, so I can guide very well the experiences of a member of parliament and as a non-member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much, and I urge you humbly to allow the committee to be established. Thank you very much.
Yes, let me give the opportunity to a first-timer who, for obvious reasons, is also part of the group. It's like Honorable Collins Dada started from 1993 and is still here. So let's also get the side of someone who has just entered. So, Honorable, is it Mahama?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And let me also commend the Leader of the House, the Honorable Mahama Ayerga, for that insight. Starting on that note means that there is hope for those of us who have just joined. We will be cared for, will be looked out for, and then our welfare would be actually be considered by the House moving forward. Mr. Speaker, the issue about pension for members of parliament couldn't have come better for me. And as a newcomer, I've started feeling that life is not going to be easy if I'm not able to have a secured pension after whatever tenure I have served in this House. And the leader bringing this up means that we need to take it seriously, except to say that, associating with the point made by Honorable Koku Kwaten, that we should leave it open and a committee can be set for the purpose of determining the financing without prejudice to Order 262 of our standing orders, which provides for ad hoc committees. There is also a committee of the House Committee, which deals with matters of welfare of members. Order 222 of our standing orders makes provision for that. And I would think that we should rather defer the issues about the welfare discussion, including the pension, to that committee as a standing committee of the House, so that it will deal with that matter exhaustively, whilst we leave the financing bit to technical members of the House to help us with. So this is my submission on that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
You see, you know why Honorable Anodompe is running into the chamber. Yes. Let me listen to, you are part of leadership, so let me listen to Honorable Suhini, then I'll come to leadership.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement made by the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business. Mr. Speaker, I wish to first of all commend him for this laudable initiative. Mr. Speaker, however, I wish to remind the House that in the 8th Parliament, this same conversation was had on the floor, leading to you, Mr. Speaker, who was in the chair on that day, to instruct that a committee be formed for a similar tax. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the 8th Parliament died without any action being taken. Mr. Speaker, I can understand why perhaps little action or progress was made after the conversations which led to you instituting a committee. Because this conversation is a tricky one, especially for 7 members of Parliament. The assumption out there is that as members of Parliament, we are entitled to free fuel. We are entitled to free electricity. We are entitled to free water. In fact, we are entitled to free vehicles and free drivers. That's the expectation out there. And on top of that, we are paid huge sums of money at the end of every month. That is the perception out there. A perception that is very, very difficult to confront. In fact, we are even told sometimes that we are fed breakfast and lunch, full chicken, when we work here. Mr. Speaker, perhaps it is because I have had cause to say in private discussions that if you are not naturally a giving person, if you are not naturally one who is willing to share whatever you have, it may be very difficult for you to succeed in politics, especially African politics. And so it becomes difficult for people to understand that the MPs desire to share the little that they have doesn't mean that they don't have. It does not sometimes illustrate their desire to make sacrifices. It rather points to a non-existent abundance. Because naturally, people will want to keep what they have for themselves and their families. And so if you stand as a member of parliament and maybe by nature, by your upbringing, you are prone to giving and you give so much to society, it is forgiving and forgivable for society to begin to think that you are giving that much because you have so much, when the reality is that it is just because you have elected to serve. And so it becomes an embarrassment in some cases, even when you fail to serve. And so whatever you will do within your limited resources to serve, you do it. Mr. Speaker, I have said that sometimes the lifestyle of serving members of parliament can be likened to, figuratively, a pipeline that transmits water into your house. The pipeline is deceived into thinking that it is full of water until the GWCL locks the tap. And then it realizes that it is just a dry pipe without water. And that's what happens to many members of parliament when they leave this place. In the course of serving, because of the opportunities that you have here, you may begin to even feel wealthy and look wealthy. But once that tap is locked, then the reality dawns on you. And like our senior colleague said, the reality only hits you, the one who feels it, not those who have been dependent on you, because they continue to think that you still have that opportunity to serve. And it is true that we have all faced it in our lives. You meet members of parliament, and sometimes the shameful request, I call it shameful because it is demeaning of their status, that they make of you will get you thinking about your future in this house. So, Mr. Speaker, I agree with the leader of government business and the majority leader that it is an important thing for us to do. And I hope that this time around, the committee will perform better than the one that was set up during the 8th committee. I'm confident that the leader of government business will lead this and champion it and ensure that it is done. Contingent, especially on the years of service that one may have, done in this house, contingent on age at which this pension can be accessed, and also contingent on, different sources of funding, including the contributions of members. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I agree with our senior colleague, Honorable Collins Dauda, that enough of the talking. Let's set the committee to begin work. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let me come to leadership. Honorable Attorney General wants to say something or no report, Secretary. NP. No report, Secretary. Yes, Honorable Minority Whip, I guess you were a member of the Defund Committee.
Speaker, did you say defund the former committee? Yes, I was. I served together with the new road minister. I served with him. Speaker, thank you for recognizing me, and I wish to comment briefly on the statement made by our respected leader of the House. First of all, it will not be out of place for me to join colleagues to commend the leader for showing the way, except to say that we started this conversation in the previous parliament. Respect to you, leader. The conversation, we had it, myself and the former whip, is something we've been talking for a very long time with the blessings of the Right Honourable Speaker. To the extent that Parliament had to finance a trip outside the jurisdiction for us to learn of best practices. I think Kenya and Uganda. So we came back with some absolute feedback in terms of what we can do, especially to contextualize the concept because of the unique happenings we have in our country. And I'm proud to say that the report is ready. There's a lot in that report. Probably we will have to give the majority leader a copy of that report so that he can apprise himself. I want to humbly suggest that it's a shame we are having this conversation at this time. We are, from all the parliament we've had, and if you look into the Hansard, you see that this is not the first time we are having such conversation. The question has always been, how do we break the inertia to be able to make do of the intention? The intent has always been good. And we've always followed through to it. We've spoken to it a lot. We've lamented enough of the problems. Speaker, I won't go far. Just here, Burkina Faso. I was privileged to have met a number of legislators from that country. And I was amazed at how comprehensive they've been able to put these things together. Speaker, oftentimes we have pride ourselves first to sign a number of international treaties, first to sign a number of democratic endeavors. But these things have eluded us for far too long. And I can only commend the majority leader who, for the fleeting period we've had working relationship, he's shown some good class. Except that the chief whip is not. We are hoping that the other matters that they have to attend to, I'm hoping he will make good use of it. And we can feel the impact of my good friend, the chief whip. So this is a very, very important matter. Again, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Speaker, Kenya, UK, Uganda, the experience is there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Again, at Uganda, we were amazed. Speaker, they passed the first legislation, they practiced it, they amended it to incorporate differences. And now Uganda have a whole secretariat dedicated for members of parliament pension scheme. And when we heard them as they made presentation to us, the volume of premium that they've been paying over the years, it will beat your imagination. It will beat your imagination. It's not too late for us to start the process, and more often than not, when these matters come up and we speak to it, we become a punching bag of the public. No, there are other professions in this country who have pension schemes. So what we are doing is not anything untoward. The teachers have their pension scheme, or the doctors, other professions who have their pension scheme. Members of parliament, is long overdue. We have to come together and give meanings to this good intent and turn it to a reality. Enough of the lamentations. Yes, the last parliament, Speaker, anytime we have to remember any of our members who have passed on, that the matter of welfare and pension will always come in, where we'll speak, we put on the ashes and tear our clothes and lament enough, and yet we go to sleep. This day, we should change the action lines and give all the support and turn it to a reality. And this will be, leader, this will go as a feather in your cap. Of course, all of us will take pride in it, but you have blazed the trail and led the way, and all of us will follow suit. We in the minority will follow you and make sure we get this thing done as planned. So, but the point you made on carbon credit, I find it quite interesting. I don't know if it's something that, it's worth considering though, but there are other school of thought, there are other experts who say that because of the motion we had to go through as a country in the determination of the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, there are protocols that are established for the usage of the carbon credit fund. However, it's for us to decide as a House and communicate same to the executive. We are the controllers of the country's purse. If it is so decide, we so decide that in the interest of us and the interest of the representatives of the people, funding from the carbon trade should be rededicated to the welfare of members. Some portion of it should be rededicated. I think it's a welcome news, and it's something we have to look at. Speaker, having said this, I know there was a proposal for the formation of some member committee. I don't know what the pleasure of the majority leader is. If it is about 6, so we will know. Should we be, if it's 6, 2, 4, that's fine. I don't know what the criteria is, but I want to humbly suggest that
it will lead to legislation. Because when we back this with legislation, then we'll be properly guided in how the fund can be assessed when one's opportunity comes to benefit from it. Mr. Speaker, even the United Kingdom that we borrow nearly everything from, they only began in 1987. And with what they call the Parliamentary Contributory Pension Fund. And after the 2010 Constitutional Reform and Governance Reform Act was passed, they then brought what they called the Parliamentary and Other Pensions Act, Constitutional Reform and other legislations, regulations, and made it effective in October of 2011. So that is the regulation that governs the pension fund affecting their MPs, both the lower house and the upper house. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya, interestingly, Kenya began it before the UK. Kenya actually passed the first legislation sometime in 1983, and assent was given to the law in 1983, and the law became effective in July 1984. They subsequently, in 2012 and 2020, brought amendment to that legislation. And as recently as August last year, in 2024, they passed the amendment to bring some improvement to the law, so that, for instance, the office that handles the processing of the pension won't do so more than 60 days. They have only 60 days to process benefits when they are due. That's what the legislation, because one of the problems they were having was that when members are entitled, it took so long for the benefits to be processed. So the amendment was effected to the law to limit it to less than 60 days. Then, Mr. Speaker, you want to look at Tanzania. And Tanzania has a similar legislation in what they called the Political Service Retirement Benefits Act, 2020 Cap 225. That legislation also mandates the Tanzanian government to pay benefits to MPs especially and other political office holders when they serve a minimum term of 6 years in office. Mr. Speaker, I scan other countries, and Canada also has a similar legislation. Mr. Speaker, under the Canadian regime, they are what they call MPs Retiring Allowance Act 1985. And under that legislation, any MP who served in the Canadian Parliament for 6 years or more is entitled to benefit from that fund. And what the law also does in Canada is that you can actually take an early benefit under the fund, especially when you are 55 years or more, and you have served 6 years or more in the Canadian Parliament. So these are pieces of legislation that can guide the committee that will be mandated to handle this matter and bring a report. Mr. Speaker, so with these words, I'm empowered by my leader to propose the following names to constitute the committee. The Honorable Collins Dauda, of course, will be a member. Yes. The Honorable Samson Ahi will also be a member. Then we are including 2 first-timers from our side, also gender balance. So the Honorable Ataisa, the member for Sanarigu, will also be a member. Then our sister, the Honorable Millicent Yabua Amankwa, will also be a member. Then the Honorable Suhini will also be a member. Then from our side, from the minority side, will be constituted by, of course, the Chief Whip, the Honorable Stephen Amwa, as well as Dr. Kabiru, my brother. So Honorable Frimpong, what's the membership? No, you have 3. Four. Okay. Then also Honorable Frimpong Ado Frimpong will also be a member. So, Mr. Speaker, if we have your blessing, these are the proposed members of the committee, and because we are also to not leave out our former MPs, we are considering maybe appointing a former member of parliament to serve as a consultant in some way, so that the views and interests of members who have who agree. Yes, Honorable Kuto. Two former members. We'll review. Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, once we agree on how many former MPs will advise the name, so that this committee will be properly constituted to immediately move to deal with that matter. Mr. Speaker, with these words, I thank you for the opportunity, and once again, Leader, thank you for bringing this matter to the House.
Honourable members, I think we will have to thank the Leader of the House to revisit this particular issue. Like Honorable Suhini said, last year, or the 8th Parliament, within one meeting, we paid tribute of, I think, 8 or 9 to our former members. 9 members of our former members of this House, we paid tribute to them just within one meeting. And that actually signaled us to look into our work. Because at times, you listen to how they all pass away. Some of them are just basic things that they couldn't afford. And that is why we decided to look into our own welfare and how best we can at least satisfy ourselves when we retire from this chamber. So, Leader, let me thank you personally for revisiting this particular issue. And I think the previous report is there. They can just revisit it and add it to your committee and probably see how best we can quickly address this issue. I don't know the committee if we have to give them timelines.
Speaker, we want to give them an initial time frame of 60 days. 60 days. And we advise. There's an existing report. So we advise them with their terms of reference.
6 weeks.
And we also,
6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 45 days. 45 days. Then we are also proposing that the Honorable Collins Dauda
be the
chairperson of the committee. Yes. So 45 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Speaker.
So,
yes.
Honorable Collins Dauda's committee, we are expecting a report within 90 days. Honorable Collins Dauda's committee.
Yes, it will be called the Collins Dauda Committee.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence to draw attention to a creeping development that I've noticed in the last 2 days. And if we don't address it, it may fester. My leader is one person that I've admired here. He's always been apt with his dressing, but over the last 2 days, I have seen he's not been properly dressed. Yesterday, he addressed this house dressed the way I am without a necktie on it, and today he's appeared the same way. I took a lot of cue from the way he dresses in this house. There are new members of the house who may follow suit. So I just thought I should draw your attention to that so that you can put it right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Whip.
Speaker, I thought I had a friend in my honorable member. In fact, we are related so well. This surprise is indeed surprising. However, Speaker, I will encourage my colleague to up his sense of fashion. I will encourage him to up his sense of fashion. Speaker, I am spot on.
Very spot on.
In fact, I have a dependable wife who always directs me in terms of what to wear to this house.
Very, very spot on.
And I have my able lieutenant.
Very, very spot on.
So I can understand him. He has been waiting for too long. The news is not coming.
It is coming.
He should keep to prayer. He should be praying and be fasting. The news will come. And he should take a cue from the Honorable Ahmed. When the Honorable Ahmed's name had not been mentioned, he kept to prayer and fasting.
And we helped you.
And eventually, the Honorable Ahmed's name came out. In fact, I sympathize with him a lot. He has been waiting for too long. And there are no signs. So, you should probably take a cue, and I'm sure for your dedication to this house, all of us are aware of your hard work on the Finance Committee. I'm not sure His Excellency the President will gloss over you, except that you have to keep to prayer and fasting. So I invite you to rule him out.
Honorable Dongo, well noted. You are concerns.
I'm sorry I have to do this. It's not about dress sense. It's about the dress code of the house.
Yes.
It is our dress code.
Your concern
So
is well
it may
noted.
be nice if you wear it outside and you look funky, but when you come to this house, we have a dress code.
Honorable Adongo.
It's not about fashion.
Honorable Adongo, I'm saying your concerns have been taken notice of. So I mean, we will revisit this particular issue. I don't think we are going there.
Mr. Speaker, we are not going there. I just wanted to draw the attention of the honorable member for Bolga Central that it is not every shirt that you put a tie on.
Honorable member.
It's not every shirt you put a tie on. So that is look, this is a tunic shirt and you don't put tie on it. It's not every shirt you put a tie on. And he's properly dressed. The minority whip is properly dressed.
Honorable members, we will discuss this later on, please. So, leadership, any indication? Should we continue with my backbenchers? You are second time.
The chairman of the appointments committee.
Tomorrow.
The chairman of the appointments committee wants to lay some report, the 8th report, and then come back and take.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I intend to lay the 8th report, move the motion for the 8th report, and then come back to move the motion for the 7th report.
Why? Why do you want to move the motion for the 8th report before the 7th report?
Right, Honorable Speaker, a decision was taken and we resort to a negotiation, and that is being changed.
So that's the decision of the appointment committee?
That is so.
Okay, very well.
That is so. So the report for the 7th is being changed. A small correction is being done.
Then kindly give me a copy of the 8th report. I don't have the 8th report. You people don't go. Yes.
Speaker, with your leave and indulgence, just to find out from our respected leader of the House on a matter that was raised on the House floor by the minority side. Such matter relates to some concerns we have with the Ablekuma North election. I think back and forth, the leadership had been charged. Would you listen, please, with all respect? Leadership had been charged to follow up and to apprise members in due course. I know the majority leader has followed up and he has some news because our backyard is curious, very interested in knowing what the outcome is. May I seek your leave for the leader of the House based on earlier engagement we had at Conclave to carry the House along what has been done so far and what is left to be done so that we can all be carried along duly. Speaker, thank you.
Very well. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Speaker, I have some reports that I will present to you of the situation in relation to Ablekuma North. If you recall, last Friday, we had some unpleasant developments in the chamber, and the issue turned around the question of the declaration of the results of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. I promised colleagues that I will go into the matter and see what we can do about it. Mr. Speaker, I spent the weekend actually investigating and engaging the various actors. I went to the regional police commander. I spoke to the persons responsible for elections on the side of the NDC, and I tried to reach out to some people at the EC. The issue that was raised in this chamber by our friends on the minority side related to some claim that the court had ordered that the police should go and provide armed protection to the Electoral Commission so that they can recollate the results of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. I have cited the court order. There is indeed a court order that is supposed to have been executed before or on the 6th.
Sorry, ordinarily I won't do this. The leader just made a statement that the court order was to recollate. No, it was to complete the collation.
Honorable, let's at least once he flows, we will get to know all the.
Mr. Speaker, I will respect it for the record. It's important.
Yeah, so it was to complete the collation of the results of the constituency, and the police reported to me that indeed they went to the constituency, there were issues, so they relocated the coalition exercise to the Regional Electoral Commission office. The process continued, and they collated all the results except the results of 7 polling stations, and they needed the presiding officers to come and authenticate scanned pink sheets that both parties had agreed should be used for the collation exercise. 5 presiding officers turned up. They confirmed that the scanned pink sheets indeed were scanned pink sheets that they had actually produced. Somehow, one of them raised questions about an indication on one of the pink sheets that there were 3 rejected ballot papers. And the NDC side said, well, if the presiding officer is raising questions about some figure on the scanned pink sheet, then they will not accept the inclusion of that pink sheet. And so that led to some scuffle, and the police decided to postpone the completion of the exercise to a future date. So as we speak, 3 polling stations' pink sheet results have not been included. The pink sheets are scanned because both sides and the Electoral Commission don't have the original pink sheets. The results of the 3 polling stations put together can swing the elections in favor of either side. The results of the 3 can swing the election in favor of either side. NDC could win or MPP could win. So it is crucial to take a decision on the 3 polling stations. They fixed a date according to the regional commander. He prepared his men to go and then supervise so the electoral commission will take a decision on the 3 and decide whether they are including them or not. But received a call from head office asking him to hold on because there was some engagement going on at a higher level. They didn't tell him at what level. So the police have always been ready to provide protection to anybody who is responsible for putting together or collating the results. There's supposed to be some dialogue going on. So I need a little more time because I want to go to the Electoral Commission, meet them and find out exactly what is holding them. Now, there was another allegation that the parliamentary candidate of Ablekuma North was attacked. I don't want to use this word in the chamber. For the PC of the NPP was attacked. So when I inquired from the regional police command, he said that there was no such attack on the parliamentary candidate of the NPP in Ablekuma North. In my presence, he placed calls to the regional crime officer who said he didn't receive any such report. They called the district crime officer, he said he didn't receive any report. We asked him to check from all the police stations within that constituency to see if such a report was made to any of the stations, and it turned out that there was no such report of an attack on the parliamentary candidate of the NPP in Ablekuma North. That is what I know for now, and I've conveyed the message to the Minority Chief Whip, and that is what he wants me to report to the House. I promise you that I'll go into the matter, and that is why I'm going into the matter. Just to say that this House, as you know, has no mandate to go into electoral matters. This House has no mandate to go into electoral matters. All I can do is to try to ascertain the facts and report to you what the facts are. If the matter relates to the conduct of the police, then we could have invited the Interior Minister to, answer questions why the police is not complying with a court order to provide protection. But it is not the police. The police are ready at all times to provide protection. Indeed, the police co-opted the prison service, the fire service, the immigration service, all the services, they mobilized them in order to have the necessary troops to be able to provide whatever protection is needed. And so the police have done their work. The only issue is that 3 outstanding polling stations, and there's some dialogue going on. Let's just give them some time and see how the Electoral Commission resolves the matter. That basically is what I have for the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. Yes.
Speaker, not to belabor the point, safe to say that, let me appreciate the interventions of the Leader of the House and also add that as a suggestion, probably it will be appropriate if the leader works hand in hand with the minority leader. And also to appreciate that, yes, indeed, our locus in this matter in terms of law is limited. However, it's to show leadership. And colleagues, we have to understand that what has happened at Ablekuma can happen to any of us. They are simply shepherding the process and to ensure that what is right is executed eventually. In conclusion, I think Ablekuma, there are lessons that can be drawn from. Lessons that can genuinely be drawn from Domi Kwabenya, where on a number of the polling stations, pink sheets that were destroyed, The Electoral Commission used scanned copies. These are lessons that leadership can help, not to dictate to the EC, but also guide, so that eventually the EC can navigate and get these matters resolved. But just to commend my leader and to plead with him to carry the minority leader along this path of ensuring that we have a good guidance and navigate properly. So I thank you for the indulgence. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. Other people. Other people. Honorable members, let me invite you to page 2. Page 2, item listed 7, presentation of papers. So let me invite the chairman of the appointment committee to present the report of the 8 report? Very well.
Okay. 8th report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointments as ministers.
Honorable members, the report has been duly presented. They are to be distributed to honorable members. Are we taking the motion of report 8 or report 7?
In this house, and that at the committee level, they saw virtually nothing wrong with that. But I would urge to look at issues of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, I have lived my entire life in the capital of Accra, and one of the well, I have lived in a community called Adedenko, British Accra. Mr. Speaker, one of the challenges we have had in central Accra has been issues of sanitation. I mean, issues of disposing of waste has been a headache. And I'm praying that as a minister for Greater Accra, minister responsible for the Greater Accra, the capital of Ghana, she does a lot more to improve on issues of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, for Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ejay, the Minister Designate for Works, Housing and Water Resources, he did excellently well when he appeared before the committee. The Speaker, he spoke about the preparedness of the role of the Minister for Works and Housing and some of the challenges that they face. The Speaker, I'm particularly interested in issues of what we call sun winning. In fact, that has been a challenge in this country, and how the state is addressing these challenges. Of course, along the coastal lines, we have had challenges. At a point, members of the Works and Housing Committee had to travel to Keta. We had to go to Aflao just to experience for ourselves the difficulties that our compatriots face in these communities. But I would urge the minister, if it's approved by this House, to consider looking into some of the costs associated with that area. I mean, it's important for him to review and see if the mega resources that will be allocated to him can do more. That said, we saw the challenges in the last parliament. We saw the challenges that the Minister for Works and Housing faced with the finance ministers of Ghana. If you give them less resources, they will do less work. And I'm urging Honorable Atuforsen, the minister responsible for finance, to release more monies to the Ministry for Works and Housing. Yes. So it's important.
Honorable member, please address me.
To ensure the effectiveness of the ministry, and to ensure that the president's vision for issues of housing and works is seen. We release more monies to them so that they can also improve on our housing facilities in our country. With this said, Mr. Speaker, I wish to urge this House to adopt the report of the committee, the 8th report of the Appointments Committee, on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointments as ministers of state. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, let me call Honorable Bawa Brahma. Honorable Bawa Brahma for Ejura to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me add my voice to earlier speakers that we should call on this House to approve the President's nomination of Honorable Kenneth Ejay, Honorable Linda Oklu, and also Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajikum. We all know that Honorable Ajikum is a member of this House and a former Deputy Minister for Local Government under the Professor Moore's administration. And he has served very well, and appearing before the committee yesterday, he acquitted himself very creditably, answering questions from members with regards to the continuation of the One Village, One Dam and other special initiatives that were started by the previous regime. He answered all the questions very well, and I believe, if approved, he will perform diligently in the new role that is going to be assigned. And then touching on Honorable Kenneth Ejay, I was enthused about his answers regarding our coastal erosion problems that we have. The nominee was very emphatic that at least coastal erosion management was capital intensive, and knowing the tight fiscal space that this country is facing, he is thinking of exploring other funding sources like PPPs in order to be able to achieve that. And I think that is a laudable initiative that he's bringing on board to ensure that he's able to carry out the mandate that has been assigned to him. Also, being a former deputy minister, I think he's learned a lot on the job as a deputy minister, which, if he's able to carry along to bring onto his new role as a substantive minister, will help him to discharge his duties fully. But let me remind Honorable Ejay that we also have a lot of drainage issues in our constituencies, and I know he's going to be approved, and when he's approved, he should consider us. We'll be knocking at his doors so that he could be of help to us. Our sister Linda, we all know, very cool, collected, and in fact, the fact that she spent less time attests to the fact that the House, we all accept her as somebody who's qualified for the job. And I would therefore urge my colleagues that we should all rally behind the report and then at least approve the nominees just as has been recommended by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And then I'll urge my colleagues to all rally around and then we'll approve them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, Kofi, Honorable Kofi Yaman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice for the approval of the President's nominees for the various ministries. But as it is often said, charity, they say, begins at home. And so I will start with Kenneth Ejay, who happens to be my constituent, comes from my constituency. Besides that, he's been a deputy minister of defense. And so it is always appropriate for me to start from home. The Honorable Kenneth Ejay, as a deputy defense minister, I believe distinguished himself very well. When I assumed office as a deputy defense minister, there was not a single day that somebody raised an issue which was negative about the Honorable Kenneth Ejay. If you look at the questions that were posed to him and the answers he gave, it tells of a person who is ready, a person who is served, a person who has gone through the mill and ready to assume higher position. I have no doubt at all that the Honorable Kenneth Ejay will go to the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources to distinguish himself. In Achuma Kwangoma, we always do and give all the best. He's been brought up well, and he has been taught how to serve. And so I have no doubt at all that my brother will go to shine. Yes, he has a responsibility to go to the ministry to lift high the banner of Achuma Kwangoma. We from Achuma Kwangoma will support him and will do everything to make sure that he succeeds. Mr. Speaker, one question which was posed to my brother had to do with the provision of accommodation, in fact, not just accommodation, but decent accommodation for our security agencies. It's very important that we look at the provision of befitting accommodation for our security agencies. In fact, in most cases, when you go to, let me use the Central Police Station. If you go there and you see where some of our security agents are sleeping, honestly, you ask yourself if indeed sleeping in such places they can really wake up the following morning and give of their best in protecting the citizenry of this country. And so his preparedness to work to ensure that he does provide decent accommodation for security agencies is something that I believe most Ghanaians will support. And it is something most Ghanaians will be looking up to, because we need indeed to give our security agents the best and decent accommodation. With regards to the erosion of our coastal areas, my brother made a point that because government kitty is not too huge to support some of these expensive projects, he will do what it takes to explore other areas to see if we can get the needed capital to go into some of these capital-intensive projects. I wish my brother well, and my prayers and the prayers of Achuma Kwangoma are with him. With regards to the Honorable Linda Oklu, I served on the Agri Committee with her. She's always been the quiet type. She's always been a mother. She's always been a nice person. And so I was not surprised that she had barely 10 minutes at the vetting. The least, as my colleague Ansa said, it tells the kind of relationship she's been able to build in this house. One thing I'll ask my sister to also avert her mind to has to do with congestion in the central Accra area. I think that it's always been a problem trying to drive some of these people away. But she has to be tough. She has to stay focused to do that which is right for our capital, Greater Accra. The Honorable Ajekum, a very nice and a gentleman, soft-spoken. I was not surprised that he got the appointment. He's one person I was really expecting to possibly be made a minister. And so I'm not surprised that his name was mentioned. Yes, we will support him. We will give him all the needed ideas and the needed support so that our country can move forward. A better Ghana will be a better place for all of us. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity.
It's now the turn of Honorable Dominic Napari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the report of the 8th Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by thanking the President for the crop of personalities he's appointing as his ministers. The Speaker, looking at the 8th report involving Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, the Minister of State for Special Initiatives, Honorable Linda Ohinewa Akwele Okulu, Minister Designate for Greater Accra, and then Honorable Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, the Honorable Minister Designate for Western Housing, indicates that the President is actually in for serious business. Mr. Speaker, looking at Honorable Emmanuel Kojo Ajekum, a colleague in Parliament who has distinguished himself in various ways where he has played his role. For example, Mr. Speaker, he was made the District Chief Executive for Nkranza North, and he played a key role. I remember I was a colleague, also a District Chief Executive in the Senate, and his outstanding performance as a District Chief Executive clearly indicates that the appointment as a minister designate for special initiatives, he would perform his duties creditably. Mr. Speaker, not only that, Honorable Ajekum was a minister, a deputy minister for local government in the previous government. And Mr. Speaker, if you see the way he carried his duties, it was really commendable. And as a colleague, we could attest to how smart he was, how intelligent he was in the performance of his role. The President intends to initiate. Mr. Speaker, we all know that there's a lot of high youth unemployment rate in the country. And if there's an initiative to employ a lot of youth and train skilled labor to the point of exporting labor to other countries, then it should be commendable. And Mr. Speaker, I think that a personality like Honorable Kojo Ajekum will fit into this to assist the President to actualize this particular dream. Mr. Speaker, he also mentioned about the green transition policy, which the President also intends to initiate. And we know that there has been this issue of climate change and how it affects the environment in the country. We also know this issue of galamsey and how it is having devastating effects for the country. And I think that when we have people like Honorable Ajekum to partner the President to embark on this green transition policy, it will help to bring back the forest covers that we have, in spite of the fact that we have a separate ministry for that. Mr. Speaker, during the vetting, a lot of questions were asked in diverse ways, and one that thrilled me, which I want to mention, is about the farmers' service centers and then the Women Development Bank, which the government intends to initiate, and also the 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, you agree with me that these are all novel situations that are being brought into the country. And I think that having people to assist the President to actualize his dreams will go a long way to assist us. Mr. Speaker, we also have Honorable Linda Okulu, who was also part of the nominees vetted. And Linda Okulu is one of us, and we all know her, how she's been very serious with her duties and how punctual she is and the way she conducts herself. And we have no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that Honorable Linda Okulu will live up to the task in the Greater Accra region. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I will urge our colleagues to approve the nominees of the President to assist in the performance of his duties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Nobody from this side? Yes, my brother, let me hear. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me listen to former Minister for Roads and Highways.